Mary would often text or call me to hang out, but I would ignore her requests. She would insist that people our age needed to have fun and that I was wasting away my time in the library. The year I graduated high school, I received acceptance letters from two of my favorite universities. I needed to choose between them. Mary had also been accepted into a university which was not the same as my options. However, one of the universities that accepted me was in the same city as her university, so my family expected me to choose that university. Mary excitedly talked to me about how she couldn't wait to get an apartment with me and live together so we could attend our classes and also have fun. I couldn't help but find it cringeworthy. I liked my cousin, but I didn't want to spend my entire college life stuck with her against my will. So I chose the other university without discussing it with my dad. Since I had a scholarship and was the one taking out the loan, it was essentially my decision anyway. When my dad found out, he was furious with my decision. He tried to force me to change my university, but I firmly told him that it was my life and my choice. He expressed how disappointed he was that I would knowingly choose another university just because I didn't want to spend time with my cousin. He tried to convince me that having a sibling like Mary is the best thing in life. This frustrated me, and I retorted that I did have siblings, my brothers, and I loved spending time with them. I told him he should stop forcing me to spend time with her because I was an adult now and needed to make my own decisions in life. Both my aunt and uncle also made their disappointment known. They called me to express how much Mary had been looking forward to living with me and how it would have made her college experience much better. However, I just didn't care and was happy with my choice of college. One day, as I was packing my things into boxes and preparing to soon move out of home into my college dorm, I heard my aunt pull up in her car. This wasn't unusual since lately, after my brothers moved out, she would sometimes come over to spend time with my dad or cook for us. Typically, during these visits, I would try to stay out of the house so as to avoid her. However, this time, I was home, so I locked myself inside my room and remained silent, hoping that my dad would think I was asleep and wouldn't call me to join them. I could hear the two of them talking and laughing downstairs. Curiosity got the better of me, so I peeked my head out like any other curious child and strained my ears to listen to their conversation. That's when I heard my dad mention something about a college fund, which immediately caught my interest. I tiptoed out of my room and made my way downstairs to listen more closely. As I listened in, I heard my dad tell my aunt that he had been saving money for Mary's college fund for a while now. He assured her that Mary would never have to take out a loan because he had it covered. This revelation left me stunned as I stood there wondering what he was talking about. My dad had never once mentioned anything about a college fund to me or my brothers, so why would he set one up for my cousin? I felt extremely hurt, wondering why my dad would make such financial arrangements for Mary's education without ever discussing it with me or considering my own financial situation. I tiptoed back upstairs and called my brothers to ask them about it. They were just as shocked as I was and asked me if I was sure about what I heard. I assured them I was. The three of us tried to understand our dad's decision, but none of us had a clue. This is when something clicked in my mind. I knew I could freely talk in front of my brothers, so I voiced out my question without any hesitation. Do you think Mary might be Dad's child? My brothers were momentarily silent. Then Jason spoke first, initially dismissing the idea as impossible, but Brett remained silent for a moment. When Jason prodded him for his thoughts, Brett admitted to having had similar suspicions in the past, since there was no other explanation for why my dad would be so unusually close to his brother's daughter. Brett pointed out the physical similarities between Mary and us, like our dark brown hair inherited from our dad, which was unlike our uncle's blonde hair. Now I know that such resemblances could be purely genetic, but we knew there was something about our dad's behavior towards Mary that had always seemed perplexing to us. I made up my mind and informed my brothers that I would find out the truth. They asked me how. I told them that I planned to secretly obtain the sample of Mary's hair and get a DNA test done. We needed to get to the bottom of this mystery. If she was not Dad's child, then great. We would have nothing to worry about. However, if she is, then we need to know the truth. Brett and Jason reluctantly agreed, urging me to be careful so that no one else would find out about our plan. That week I asked Mary to hang out with me and discreetly obtain some strands of hair that had fallen on her coat. I felt guilty keeping it in my pocket, almost as if I was doing something illegal. However, the need to uncover the truth outweighed my unease. The anticipation during the week leading up to the result of the DNA test was nerve-wracking. I kept hoping and praying that I was wrong about my suspicions because I didn't know how I would handle it if Mary turned out to be my sister. The day finally arrived when I received the DNA test results, and to my shock, they confirmed that Mary was indeed my sister, as we shared the same biological parent. It felt like the ground had shifted beneath my feet as I read the result, and I was left reeling with a whirlwind of emotions: confusion, disbelief, anger, and sorrow all mixed together. I couldn't believe that my dad had kept such a significant secret from us for so long. The fact that Mary was actually my half-sister and not my cousin changed everything for me, and I struggled to come to terms with this new reality. It was a lot to process. I needed time to let it sink in. I felt betrayed by my dad for hiding this from us, and I was angry at myself for not seeing the signs earlier. Clearly, He and my aunt spent a little too much time together and likely had an affair. It was unnerving to process the fact that Mary was born just a year after me, which meant that my dad had an affair with his brother's wife within a year of my mother's passing. The thought of it left me feeling disgusted and overwhelmed. Everything also made so much sense about why my dad would force me to hang out with Mary all the time even if I needed some space. I caught my brothers in tears. They immediately sensed that something was terribly wrong. When I shared the news with them that Mary was our half-sister, they were shocked for a few minutes to say anything. I sent them photos of the DNA test results so they could see for themselves. Brett and Jason were furious and insisted on coming back home so that we could confront Dad together and get to the bottom of this. However, I knew that confronting our dad about such a disgusting revelation wouldn't change anything for us. He had slept with his brother's wife, which had resulted in her getting pregnant with Mary. There was nothing that we could say to change this truth. Instead, I suggested that we cut him off. Our dad clearly did nothing for us and left us to fend for ourselves, taking on college loans to pay off our tuition while he knowingly saved money just for his affair baby. Brett agreed with me while Jason was still seething. Now that we knew their secret, I decided that we could have a little fun exposing the truth. I orchestrated a plan where I would reveal the secret to Mary in a subtle yet impactful way so my dad could not escape any more from the consequences. I asked my brothers to not tell Dad anything for the time being. Instead, I asked if they could come over on my moving date to drive me to college because I didn't want to go there with my dad, and they immediately agreed. So on the day of my departure from college, I invited Mary to see me off one last time. When she arrived, my dad was his usual excited self around her and gave her a warm hug. During my conversation with Mary, she excitedly shared with me about her plans to move into an apartment and how her mother had recently revealed a college fund she had secretly set up for her years ago. I couldn't help but scoff inwardly and mentally roll my eyes, fully aware of the truth behind it all. Mary was thrilled about how helpful it would be for her future and continued to brag about how her mother had managed to save $10,000 over the years so that she did not have to worry about taking out a loan like me.